Welcome to Cavisson feature demo. This video contains a brief overview of NDE monitoring configurations. When you are instrumenting your application with NDE, you need to do some configuration settings to instrument your application with NDE. As you know, this is the home screen of NDE. Let's go to the NDE configuration UI. So in the left pane there is a icon for NDE config. Let's click onto this. So this is the NDE config UI. There are three things to do to configure an application. The first one is the topology, then the profile list, then the application. So let's go one by one. First, topology list. So this is the topology. So you may have defined some topology for your application. You need to import that topology here by clicking on to this import icon. Just select the topologies from here, then click on to import. So now the topology is imported here. Just click onto this to view the topology. So this is the topology. Now the default profile has been applied for this topology because we didn't created any profile till now. So there is a default profile which is applied to this DSR topology which I have created now. So the topology is like under the DSR topology there is a tier 27, Cavisson, then default. So these are the tier level. To see the server and instance level, you need to enable it here. Let's check for Cavisson. So there is a server called NDE appliance which comes under the Cavisson. So this is how the topology is defined for this DSR topology. Let's go back to the config home. Now let's create a profile. So these are the profiles which are created before. There is a default profile in which all the default settings has been applied. So you need to create a fresh and new profile. It's the settings we need to apply on our application. Just click on to configure. So this is the profile list. To add a new profile here, just click on to this add profile button. Give your profile name. I am giving it as ND profile. So there is a feature you can import this profile settings of an existing profile, or you can import the settings of the default profile. So there is a option for copy profile. Just select the profile you want to import the settings. So by default I am taking it as the default setting. You can put some description here, then save it. So now the profile has been added. So let me do the changes. So this is the profile, ND profile, which I have created now. There are four kind of settings are there. First one is general setting, then advanced setting, instrumentation setting, then product integration setting. So in the general setting, there are few things are there like flow path, hotspot, capture exception, flow path header, instrument profiles. Let's go inside this to view all the settings. So these are all the settings for flow path, like the flow path instrumentation percentage, which how much flow path I want to instrument, like 20%, 30% or 40% or 90% of the total flow paths. So I am giving it as 50%. Then the correlation ID using HTTP header. I want to use any, if I want to use any correlation ID, capture the flow paths. So I can put it here. So I am leaving it blank now. Capture method for all flow paths. Like I can capture methods for all the flow paths, or 20% of the flow paths, or 90% of flow paths. So I want all the flow paths. So I am giving it as 100. Then the CPU time capturing. So it's disabled now. You can do enable at flow path or business transaction level. You can do enable at method level and flow path level. So like this, there is another option for method breakdown time capturing. So this is also disabled now, like method breakdown time capturing. So as like CPU time capturing, there are the same options are there. So it's disabled now. So in this way, you can do the changes and click on to the save to save the settings. Let's go to hotspot. So in this hotspot detection setting, there is a setting called sampling interval for collecting thread informations. So here is given is 500 milliseconds. So in each 500 milliseconds, it will go for this thread samples. Then the start level for matching hotspot. So it's 5 now. You can give it 10 or 15. So it will go to the 15th depth and check for the hotspot. And you can enable the hotspot sensor also. You can then you can then you can give the maximum stack depth in sample for method hotspot. And there are some filter settings are there, like you can compare 100 frames, 10 frames, 20 frames, anything you want. Then the thread names to be included in hotspot. You want to capture some specific threads in hotspot, you can give them here, or the threads name to be excluded in hotspot. If you want to exclude some thread in the hotspot, you can add it here. So this is all about the hotspot setting. Then now come to the exception. So you can enable the exception capturing from here. Then few other settings are there, and there is a advanced setting for source code capturing. So ND has a capability to capture the source code where the exception is generating. So you can enable the source code capturing here, like the structures only, structures with source code, structures with source code, and class variables. So I am saving it. Now come to the flow path header. You can capture the HTTP request headers. You can capture the HTTP response headers. You can mention the header types also here, like all the headers or some specified you want to give it. Then the custom data. You can capture from custom data from adding it here. You can add some method names and you can capture here if you want to one. If you are looking for a specific method to capture, you can capture it from here. Then the session attributes, like you want to capture all the session attributes, like you want to capture all the session attributes, or some specific, or you don't want to capture the session attributes. Then similarly the HTTP request headers. Now come to instrumentation profile. From here you can instrument some specific profiles which you have created. Now come back to the profile settings. So this is all about the general settings. Now come to the advanced settings. So there are some settings like the debug label. You can set the debug label here. You can enable the business transaction monitors and the backend monitors from here. You can manually put some delay in methods also. In the test environment, you want to put delay in some specific methods, you can do it from here, and you can specify the delay time range also. You can generate some exceptions also from here. Then some custom configurations, like you can add some custom configurations, which configuration you defined, which configuration you have defined in the backend. You can add it here. So this is all about the advanced setting. Let's come back. Now come to the instrumentation setting. There is service entry point, integration point, transaction configuration, instrument monitors, error detection. So let's start from service entry point. So you can enable the service entry points from here, like which service entry point you want to monitor and which you don't want to monitor. So you can disable them from here. If you want to edit some settings in the service entry point, you can do it from here. Let's go to the integration point detection. So these are all the integration points which will be detected automatically. You can add some other integration points also from here. You can edit some integration point settings also, like naming roles using the host name or port name, port or URL, or using query. And you can enable the integration points like the Apache HTTP client, NDK, or few other things are there. You can enable or disable it from here and just save it. If you want to delete them, you can also delete them from here. So let's come to the setting. So there is a setting for in integration point setting. You can enable the endpoint URL capturing also from here. You can capture the request parameters. If you want to skip some specific characters in URL, you can give the URL limit here that will be skipped. Now come to transaction configuration. The first one is HTTP BTT configuration. So in this, you can capture some URI without query parameter, or you can set some pattern. So in this URI, you can capture complete URI, or you can segment them. Then the transaction threshold, like you want the transaction to be notified when it's going beyond or it's reaching a specific threshold. Like if you have given 3000 milliseconds for a slow transaction, when a transaction is going beyond 3000 milliseconds, it will come in slow category. Or if it is going beyond 5000 milliseconds, it will come under very slow category. Then some dynamic request types also there. Then come to method BT configuration. You can add some method names which will be captured for some specific business transactions. Then BT HTTP headers, similarly like method BT configuration, you can add them from here. Now come to instrument monitors. You can add some method monitors from here. Then we have to put the method name, then the display name which you want to see in the user interface, then few description if you want to put. Then the HTTP start monitors, you can add some HTTP start monitors from here. You have to give the name here, then the header type, the request or response. If it is a cookie, you can select it from here. And the flow path dump mode, you can enable it or disable it from here, or you can enable forcefully. Then the value type, string, numeric, or if you want to put some values. Then the operator type. Now come to exception monitor. You can add some exception monitors from here. You can put the exception name, then the display name. Now, then the JVM thread CPU monitor. You can enable the JVM thread CPU monitor from here. You can give some values when the CPU utilization is less than 40% or 50%. The JVM thread CPU monitor will be disabled. If the threshold reaches, then it will automatically start capturing the thread. Then error detection. You can add some error detection rules, like I want to add a rule like error. I am giving the status code from 400 to 404. So let's enable it, save it. So what it will do, whenever the error comes from the status code 400 to 404, it will notify. This is all about instrumentation setting. Now come to product integration setting. So if you want to integrate any user experience monitoring product, you can enable it from here. So now it's for the NetVision, which is a user experience monitoring tool of Cavisson. So if you are using NetVision, you can enable it from here. So this is all about the profile setting. Now come back to the home. So we have configured the topology list and profile list. Now come to the application list. So let's add an application here. So I have given the name as AppCap. You have to select the topology here. What you want to use, which topology you want to use for this application, then save it. Now open this application to do the changes. So I want to see the server instances. So in this tier, the profile are added. So I want to put my own profile settings here. So let's select this, click on to this edit button, then select here the profile which you have created. So I have created a profile. I want all the settings should be applied in this tier. So save it. So now this will be instrumented as I want. So in this way, the profile will be applied to the application. So this is all about the application setting. few more settings are there, like the ND controller setting. So let me do it for AppCap. So these are the settings you can do for a specific application, like the time in seconds to receive the data from the camera after test is over. So it's given as 30 seconds, and some enable auto scaling. You can, so it's 0 now. That means it's disabled. If you put 1 here, it will be enabled automatically. For this setting, there are multiple values are there, so you can find them from our user manual or online product help. So there is another thing in ND controller setting, that is ND data processor. In this, we can apply some settings, so like flag to lower the priority of the process, maximum SQL index, enable dumping URL record, metadata recovery. So all this kind of settings you want in your NDE box. Then the ND database upload, like the maximum number of cycle to read the data from all instances to buffer. So this is all about the settings if you can apply for a specific application. So after applying the settings, you can save them from here. So it's saved successfully. Now come back. This is all about how to instrument your application. And there is another feature. You can auto discover your method and classes of your application if your agent is connected with your NDD appliance. So you can discover by filter also, you can discover all of them. And there is an option for audit log. So whatever changes will be applied in this config setting, that will be captured here, and you can see them from here, like the timestamp in which time it's applied. This is how you can do the instrumentation of your application. For more information, please log on to www.cavisson.com. Thank you.